Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. So this video is going to break upon some of the aspects that I have missed out in the Battlecruiser build. So a lot of players would have noticed that I had simplified some of my videos moving forward due to the fact that I try to keep my videos under 10 minutes. And I don't like a build video going over 10 minutes really. That's how come I started cutting out a lot of the other things I used to do. Now, considering that I've received a lot of comments on my build videos, I'm actually going to be redoing some of them as I said they would be redone in T7. So, first thing that you're going to see in my channel is going to be a whole load of builds on battle cruisers, and then you're going to see a whole lot of builds on the mastered cruiser build, which I'm going to say. Now, I have several different types of builds that I'm going to introduce. So, since I haven't reached T10 and haven't maxed out everything, and everything isn't in the game as yet, you're not going to get my end game builds. End game builds are what I'm going to call the aces for whichever type of play. And end game builds are very specific. End game destroyer, end game tank, end game support. Everything about those builds is going to be broken down into pieces. So before we get into this video, which is going to be the Battle Cruisers follow up for T7, I'm going to ask you all to please leave a like or comment and consider subscribing to my channel. If you don't like the video, leave a dislike and leave a comment. Now, considering that this video is going to be more of a discussion type video on the Battle Cruisers, it's also going to point out why some of my builds were not the very best suited to the ships that I have described. Now, namely, it's going to be the Prophecy, Harbinger, and the Myrmidon. They are armor tank vessels, and I describe putting on them shield boosters. Oh, neurocode. Okay, so continuing forward with everything that's gone on for me, I have actually reached T7. Now, as I have reached T7, it now opens a whole lot of options for me in terms of progressing in the game. The first thing to note is I am going to go ahead and uh, use the Battlecruiser command chip that we all got. Now that's going to give me a kickoff in terms of Battlecruisers. My Battlecruiser isn't yet available for me to use. I have already ordered them, and I do order Battlecruisers ahead of producing anything in terms of the game, in terms of videos. So that is something else to discuss at another time. Okay, I don't know why that didn't deploy. Alright, there we go. Battlecruiser command. Now, another thing for you to consider when you are playing the game and going through to the higher levels of building up your vessels is you need to think about what needs to be put into your vessels. What is your vessel going to be used for? Where does it stand in the current meta of the game? Now, building an armor tank on a battle cruiser, the reason why I said it was a bad idea was because of their slow turning speed. Now, there is a way to improve it, and even if you improve it with the modifiers that can be installed on your ship, you're losing other factors to your ship. By the time you've modified it to get it to turn, you lose the ability to make armor tank. And all of that speed was made so that you can get away quickly. And you're losing any other options when it came to your build. Which is why my best fits and my best builds are made in such a way. The best build is the best build for the time. And as we move forward, the best builds can change. Like the 25% that I just will gain on my battle cruisers for speed is only going to be given to me once I complete my research for the battle cruiser command. And the battle cruiser engineering is something else. Wait, let me just go into it instead of speaking from the top. The battle cruiser command is also something very important to think about. Now, let's see what is shown over here. Now, looking at this, this is the game's explanation of where you should be. If anybody has noticed it, it isn't showing the battle cruisers right in the start. Now, there is a very good reason for it, and I can explain why it did this here right at this point, and why so much of it is focused on engineering and focusing your missiles up even further. The reason is simple. They want you to advance your ships to such a point that you can play very well in the game. Even the game is instructing you basically how to build yourself up to the right tech level. Now, considering everything that I have just said, I'm just going to double check on my video length. It's already 5 minutes. So let's go into where we should be with our weapons. Now, in terms of weapons, I am in T7. I should have advanced completely with my weapons. And nope, I am behind. As I said, I did a lot of silly mistakes in the start of the game. Looking through my drones, I haven't even advanced enough in the basic drone control. That's going to give me a considerable range extension, but I haven't done it. Okay, now let's drop down. Now, obviously, I am doing in missiles, you're going to be doing in your particular weapon style. Engineering. Why is engineering so important on a vessel? That power drain that you experience with your battle cruiser, the power drain is going to be 10 times worse. Remember, you're increasing that shield range and you're increasing that shield power, and you are going to want to improve and increase everything as you move forward. And this is one of the things that you have to focus on to master your research. Once you master your engineering of a vessel, now I'm just saying the basic engineering, you have a certain edge with that vessel. It's now usable more freely in more areas. And considering all the time that it's going to take, this is about a 3 week process for you to just get the first two done. Now, electronic warfare is more for PvP players, not PvE players. Targeting is for everybody and it should be mastered all the way to advanced. Should be opening expert in this level. Along with your missiles, your primary weapon, you should be opening expert on the mediums. Now, there is something else I haven't discussed. Some players went into the destroyer main type. They are far ahead of us in terms of how good their ships are. They are actually so strong, they could take out your brand new battle cruiser when you arrive at T7 because you don't have enough speed, enough power, or enough research to stop them. They focus so hard on that destroyer or that frigate in the start that they right now have enough power in their vessel to take you on and beat you. And that is the fact on the frigate and destroyer commanders. They're now going to get class ships. Now, these class ships are going to be basically from each of the faction or faction ship. And when they start upgrading them and putting on the right gear, they're going to be so elite in terms of how much of firepower they have, you won't be able to touch them. So that is where that is going to be taking you. Now, moving down is the defense. Everybody who has been focusing on defense, that means you are focusing on being more of a defensive type player. You should be expert in your shield or armor operation, advanced in your shield and hardening operation. You are going to complete expert in this level. Now, the moment I explain that you have to complete expert, your timer in your head is already shooting up. We know that just completing an advanced takes hundreds of hours. I think up to 450 hours. Your standard takes about 180 or so hours. It's smaller in numbers, and all these figures start changing up where you're going to be with your time management. So, considering all of this, you need to think about where am I going forward with these operations? Do I want to cancel the operation on my shields and focus more on a battle cruiser? If I want to be a battle cruiser main, is my battle cruiser going to be able to keep up with the fighting of the elites in the game right now? And once you consider all of that, a shield tank has no problems against those little elites who are going to buzz around you and irritate you. But an armor tank has a major problem. They're going to rip right through your shield. They're going to eat into your armor, and by the time you want to jump, they are going to warp disrupt you. Warp disrupting somebody when you know their shield tank is pointless because the moment their shield drops, that's the only time they're going to think about running. So you start warp disrupting them once they get into their armor. Okay, moving on your defense. Now, here's another crucial part in the whole building your vessel story. If you are already here at advanced cruiser, jumping to battle cruiser is pointless for you. And this is why it's pointless. Jumping into the battle cruiser and trying to catch up, by the time you reach T8, when there is a massive advantage in T8, you are going to be behind on research. And falling behind in research is going to push you back when it comes to the next tier of the game. And the only time you are going to catch up with everybody is in T10, which is such a long way away from where we are right now. If we keep doubling each time zone, to reach T8 is going to take us 1.5 months. To reach T9, if it's going to double the time again, it is going to take us uh, 6 months to reach T9, and to reach T10 would take us a year from the time of the start of the game. So 1 year till we reach T10, and it's going to take another year in the T10 range to complete your mastering of all of your various aspects within the game. Just saying that, I am feeling the pressure on myself for playing the game. If I have to go through and master everything just to play at my most efficient, and I decided to jump into a battle cruiser today, I'm only going to catch up with everybody when I decide to go battleship in T10, when everybody has already mastered a ship and they're doing tremendous amounts of damage, flying circles around me and ripping through my armor. I'm going to take a heavier loss and a more expensive path up just by changing where I am right now. But players who do want to actually become battle cruiser mains, this is the time for you to jump in. You're going to become a battle cruiser main, you're not going to be a battleship main. If you intend to have a battleship as your main vessel, don't touch the battle cruiser advanced research as yet. And even with all of this, everybody who jumped into the armor hardening and their battle cruiser research heavy right now, when we reach T9, which is only about 6 months away, you aren't going to be an expert at your level. But those who decided to take on the cruiser command can reach expert. Yes, we won't be able to reach our weapons to expert as well, but we can make our vessel an expert vessel. And you will be at such a disadvantage against these expert cruisers that you are going to be fighting the uphill battle. And since you're one of those players who's been jumping up to the battleship each time it pitches up, you're most probably going to jump to a battleship. At which point you are going to be even further below where you were. Now remember those little annoying frigates? Once they are complete with their frigate and small research, they open to large research. They don't have all this other research that we're going through at this point. They can just jump straight into large. Now, thinking about it, why is that such an advantage? When they jump into large, they're going to do large drones, large primary weapon, and when the ships open, their weapons and their drones are going to be way more powerful than everyone else. Following up with that, they now have time to catch up and upgrade the command on these battleships. By the time we reach the end of year one, they may be an expert frigate, an expert battleship commander, with experts in all of their weapons which are needed for the functioning of those vessels, and an expert in all of the side technologies needed to optimize those vessels. So that is why my builds were so weird when it came to battle cruisers. I didn't actually focus on making them super powerful because I don't think it's a good idea to focus on the battle cruiser. I would rather have a battleship as my ace up my sleeve. Now T7 is going to last a while. And for those who are progressing through T7, you need to think about what's coming in T8. Now in T8, as I said, you open the large weapons. That also means that certain other aspects of large are going to open for you. You're just not going to have battleships as yet. And you can use large weapons on certain battle cruisers in one slot or two slots, depending on their power. Now, dropping down to one of the most important things is command. The command of a vessel dictates the speed of your vessel, as you can see, and it dictates the lack of resistance to movement. So your big heavy battle cruiser has massive inertia. And once I've improved my inertia on the small ship, I have even less. That means I can turn around in short spaces and I can warp away a lot faster than your battle cruiser. And you are going to be one step behind me from the get go. If you look at everything, right now the best that I have is minus 20% inertia plus 16% velocity. And this isn't the end of it for me. The moment I add in the final research, it goes up to 25%. But look at the cost in terms of SP. half a million SP. Now let me go into the T7 to T8. Look at the amount of time I have. Look at the gain per minute on SP. Now you go and you take all of those SP figures from what you're going to be researching, punch it all together and divide. Now my SP gain is at 70 per minute. I am going to be increasing it to 75 per minute in the next 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, provided my Battlecruiser build is completed, which I do have going on in the background, which I am not going to show. The Battlecruiser is hidden at the moment. I'm not going to show it. And the moment I have the build ready with everything on it, I am going to show it off and show exactly why I wasted so much of time to build it. Now, I could have went a better way and just improved my Caracal Navy issue, otherwise called a CNI by most people. But I don't want to go into the Caracal as yet and master it out. That's because I know that I'm still going to want to interfere with the Battlecruiser a little bit to speed farm my small missions. That's Mega Corporation and what was the other mission? Mega Corporation. I'm forgetting for patriotism. Sweet. All of those T8 and below missions. I'm gonna speed farm them with a Cyclone. Now the reason for that is gonna be simple. The Cyclone has better firepower and a much larger shield. I also don't have to worry about them eating through my capacitor so much faster because that ship has a little bit larger capacitor than my Caracal. And it also has 6 low slots, meaning I can improve my weapon a little bit or improve my speed a little bit depending on which way I decide to go with the build. Now, I know which build I gave for my best build, but my build for my Cyclone is going to be slightly different because I am outfitting it really expensive. Now, the expensive builds aren't the best builds, to say the least. They're expensive for now, but later in the game, they're going to be ridiculously cheap. Okay, so I have explained the basis on why I made certain armor tank vessels non armor tanks in my best builds. That's because progression to T8 is going to play a major part on your gaming strategy. And just to show you what I mean, I can't show it. Oh, wait, no, I can show it. Since I haven't touched any of this, let me go and open the medium laser operation. And let me open this. Looking at the medium lasers, I can already see how much of SP I need each time I'm going through. And there we go. Altogether in this entire gain is just under half a million SP. Now, half a million SP, considering how long it's going to take us to reach those levels, quite high. Now, let me go into the advanced. Let's look at the, it's not showing me the SP. I have to open it first. Okay, so anyway, moving on to the advanced, it's going to be an even bigger grind, an even bigger push to reach that maximum output. To have a weapon so powerful, it really shakes up anybody who fights you. And I'm saying that they're in the most liberal sense possible because I'm not worried about what's coming next in terms of gameplay for me. Okay, now moving on, let's go to... Okay. Players were complaining at the fact that I've changed my video format up quite a bit without showing off what fittings I'm going to be throwing onto a vessel. So I'm going to open out the market and I'm just going to show you something. And the reason why I don't mind just blabbing it off instead of going in and actually looking at each one individually. When I blab it off, if I say shield hardeners, shield boosters, shield extenders, they're the listed names in the market. And most players are getting equipment off the market. And if you're one of those players who are farming the equipment, you're farming and you're selling on the market. So that's how you're going to master your naming and your ranking and your pricing and knowing what gear is good by looking at the market. Now, overall, a lot of my builds, I haven't gone so in depth with armor hardening and armor perks because I don't feel that armor perks were so important until recently in the game. So, example, I haven't ever showed off any of them, but here we go. Armor repairers. Right, here we go. Medium. Oh, sorry. Medium, C type. Right, there you go. This is the best one that you can possibly buy. Look at its price, 150 million. You want to buy it? Go for it. Going down plates. I'm not going to go for this plate. This is just the reinforced. This is the one I want. Medium reinforced. Wait, no, there's another plate. Oh, these are armor plates, not armor hardeners. These are extenders. Yeah, I made the mistake. As you can see, the strongest you're going to get is a faction armor hardener. Let's see what its price is. 12 million. Really cheap. Says that a lot of players don't use it. Now here comes the main factor. Armor hardener, C-type, adaptive. What is the price on this? 180 million. That tells you that most players who play play armor tanks aren't using the armor plates. Now, someone like me who loves playing shield tank, I'm going to buy this. And let me show you how much more the shields have been purchased over anything else. Look at the price. 25 million. And we'll go back into the armor plate. Go back to medium. Just describing your markets can tell you where players are and what they are playing. And it also tells you where you should be because the vast majority of players are experienced players. Look at the difference in price. The one is 25 million, this is 12 million. Two of the factions have armor tanks, two of the factions have shield tanks. And this just tells you the armor tanks aren't that viable of a build. They're way too risky to play. It's a major risk. You always run that risk of someone jamming you when you decide to get away. And your armor repairs aren't as expensive as your... Wait, let me just go to the shield booster. The prices have been falling quite heavily. And I think that's more because of people farming than anything else. Okay, this is still quite cheap. At 40 million as its cheapest listed price, it's not that expensive to purchase a C-type shield booster. And what is the advantage of them? Bigger boosts in shield gain. So you gain a little bit more shield and you have that little bit of extra power. But considering the difference in their power, it's only about 100 or 200 between the Challenger type, which is the Lone Ranger, and the C type. And that is the difference in price that you are fighting for when it comes to all of these fittings. I'm even actually going to look at the large quickly. I want to see what its price is right now. A bit too expensive for my taste at the moment. But regardless of all of this, thinking about everything that I can fit on a ship, if I fit it up correctly, the shield hardening and the shield boosting and the shield extending makes my ship last a little longer. One of the main reasons why I focus more on shield tanks in Battlecruisers than armor tanks. The armor tanks are going to come into play, and they won't come into play within your first week of getting into Battlecruisers. They'll come into play within the fourth week of getting into your Battlecruisers, which is next week, which is why I'm going to make the armor play video. And I'm actually going to show the negative side effects from playing it without improving your research. So I'm actually going to have to lose a ship. Maybe I'll buy a Vexer. So here's the thing. I do want to have a Vexer Navy issue for farming up a lot of the missions, and a Vexer Navy issue is generally based off an armor tank. So I'm going to build it as an armor tank with my advanced research, and I am going to show you the risks involved in running the armor tank. So let's hope that I don't lose the ship after purchasing it. It's going to cost me over 200 million ISK. So let's see if this is going to be better. A lot of players have been asking me to show the builds that I described, and it is going to be running a new build. Because as I said, as the game advances, new options become open to you. Like the increase in the amount of my weapon power, the increase in the amount of my advanced research will impact the way in which I can put in different gear to my ship. So if you're watching my videos anytime after they were released. Now, when I say after, I mean like a month after. Remember that best build isn't going to be the best build for the month we're in. Example, the shield boosters. The shield boosters drained your energy terribly when I first launched my cruiser command videos, which is one of the reasons why my rigs were so heavily focused on pulling up the power and the speed to get you away to a far enough point to get away from any battle. Now, that was described in my in my cruisers builds. And right now, moving forward, we're getting ready for battleships. And it's a similar story. I am focusing on giving them more power and more staying power in the fight because they're heavier on damage. So I'm just going to cut it off here in this video. I think it's gone on for a bit too long. Yeah, it has. So I'm going to be cutting off this video here, but before I go, here's the last few things I want to explain. My builds are made based on research. Now, when I say based on research, I mean I base it off the pure mathematical equation of the game. When I say mathematical equation, I mean speed versus power versus timing versus everything. I'm putting it all into perspective. I'm taking into consideration how far frigates have come, how far player frigates are, whether you're going to be able to run away from them, whether you're going to get stuck against them. Considering that some of the missions pull you quite down into low sec, I wouldn't mind attacking a ship in low sec because quite an easy place to fight. And if I'm running a small worm, for example, that ship is very small, very elite, very powerful, very fast. I'm gonna fly around you and whiz around you so quick that even when you're using your double Weber fire on me, by the time I'm slowed, I'm out of range of your Weber fire and coming back for my next run, back at maximum speed. And you are going to be losing all of that damage. You aren't even going to be touching me. And over a fight of about half an hour, you are going to lose overall while I lost nothing. I'm saying I lost nothing because you are going to be fighting me in that slow, tedious manner, and you are going to be using your debuffs, and you're going to be running through that massive amount of capacitor of yours. And once I start hitting you and I see where you're turning, I am going to focus myself into a path that's forcing you to turn. And once you've turned away from your warp path, me with my double disruptors, I disrupted you the first time and I hit you very hard. You are now getting shaken, you don't know what to do, you start to evade. And when the second one hits onto you, when you thought you could get back onto your path, you now know you are stuck in this fight. So that's when you invest heavier into the fight and you try and take me down. By the time that second cooldown finishes, you're already in a turn to evade damage, and that is when I am going to have my first disruptor back. And that's because of the slowness of a cruiser that I can, the slowness of the battle cruiser that I can play a tactic like that. And that is just what I'm going to explain. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.